can basically get an entry level speed if you'd like with the Motorola, but you can grow as you need to grow your network. You can scale that system. You can purchase additional license keys, which will allow you to further speeds and modulations. So that's nice. A lot of customers like that fact that the system can grow with the network as they grow. And then here's an example of the bill of materials for the Motorola system, just the breakdown there. But obviously you can always contact BoomBlink's sales reps and they can help you through, of course. And then we have Bridgewave. They're interesting. They're very popular as well in that they do the licensed backhaul, not only in the microwave bands, but also they do it in the millimeter wave bands too. So they can provide long-range systems here at high speed at 18 and 23 gigahertz, but they can also do a medium-range system up to 6 miles that has huge bandwidth, and these things are full duplex radios, so on their AR80 systems, they're 80 gigahertz radios, and they can do 2.5 gigabits per second. So these are an excellent choice to consider for distribution, anything up to 6 miles, and of course they're 18 and 23 gigahertz flex port microwave for those can interconnect these 80 gigahertz systems quite nicely as well. So they have a nice system where they can do core and distribution right from the same platform, from the same licensing system types of products. And here's the GE80, the Gigabit Ethernet 80 bill of materials. Pretty simple. There's only 4 line items, which also includes services. And then the FlexPort 18. Here's the bill of materials as well. Only a couple of items there, so pretty simple line items to get from a shopping list perspective. And then we have Exalt. So these guys pretty fast as well. They're consistent with all the other vendors. They have a nice wide range of frequencies that they offer. They have a very broad range in this system. They have their Extend Air radios, which start at 200 megabit. Their Explore Air, which is half a gig. Extreme Air, which is 1 full gig. So you're starting to see here that these licensed systems, they're basically boasting wired speeds here. They're doing gigabit speeds and going long distances. So, and then they have their EX1 series, which is a scalable type of system as well. And of course, all these are long range, and they all have different price points. So, starting at the Extend Air, which is an affordable entry level, and then you have the more higher end systems with the EX1. And here's the bill of materials. You can always refer to that. And and I want to mention too that you guys will get a copy if you want of this presentation, and you can use this if not just to refer to the bill of materials that you can use, because all of these vendors are leading. I'm sure that there's going to be, you'd be proposing them just because they're very popular. Okay, so now dealing with the FCC, we want to spend some time with that because that's an important piece. I mean, you can have all the technical skills and understanding of what to do with a licensed backhaul. You'd be familiar with all the pieces and how the transmissions and what's going on with at the data layers. But we have to deal with the regulation here and deal with the Federal Communications Commission, who are around to help us out and make sure that everybody lives and coexists and plays nicely together. So activities that have to be done, it's, when someone deploys the network, they're responsible when deploying this backhaul for making sure they do all their homework. And we can help assist with that to people who are new that maybe came from the unlicensed band and are moving to licensed. Obviously, we'd want to, if they're a reseller or a VAR or a service provider, we want to assist them and then maybe get them to a point where they can do it themselves. But there is a lot of chaos that goes on with this if you're not careful, if you don't do your research. But anyway, so dealing with them, some of the activities that have to be done, you have to do interference analysis. You have to be able to identify nearby licensed transmitters and be able to accurately predict what they're transmitting at and have equipment to be able to do that. The prior coordination has to be performed. They have a responsibility to notify that the system is going to be going out to all the license holders in a given area. You have to actually provide a lot of details about your system. You got to talk about all kinds of stuff like channel width, how big your channel bandwidth is going to be, your channel sizes, your output power, what your azimuth is going to be, which is what direction you're going to be pointing, what type of channel plan you plan on using. If it's a full frequency division duplexing radio, you got to say which transmit transmitting frequency you're going to be on, what sending, receiving one it's going to be, what the channel plans are, what possible frequencies you're going to be using, and that you're going to be licensing, all of that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of, they really drill down, but the important thing is the more information that they know, the more that they're going to be able to, the more details they have, the better they'll be able to control everything. The more information you give them, the more they know about you, the more they can protect you. So that's why they're doing that kind of thing. The last thing here is, so just went back a few slides, not sure why, but anyway. Then you submit your application for operation, and then you're off. So Moonblink obviously wants to assist with this. There's a lot of forms that have to be filled out, but we can help with that. We can sort of go through an interview process and make sure that we ask the right questions that they're going to need to require. These forms, here's some examples of them. So this is the form that you'd have to fill out to the FCC and make sure, if it's almost like, applying for a passport or something like that. If you don't fill out all the information, you don't do it accurately, you're going to have to resubmit. So we have all these different forms here. And as you can see them, we'll help with these, and these are just some examples of the steps involved. Okay, so anyway, that about shows you everything there. So there might be, we might ask you about filling out a questionnaire that would also relate to the tower too, because something to be aware of is a lot of tower, if you are going to rent space from a tower, if you're not going to build your own from a tower asset owner, they're going to ask you how high up on the tower you have to go, and typically the higher you have to go, the more expensive it is. So sometimes it's important to try to engineer a link. If you can only go up 30 feet, then only go up 30 feet. If you have to go up 100 feet, then so be it. But try to reduce and minimize the height, because leave that a higher space for other systems that need to go up and actually need it. So we can help with that. So the last thing here that we want to talk about is that for everybody that was able to sit in on this, we know your time is valuable. You take time out of your day to sit on these. To show our appreciation, we want to give you a discount. If you guys are looking at deploying a licensed link, we'll give you a 45% discount. And using this code here in red, it's licensed backhaul webinar code, promotional code. So the discount price is $1,700 to license this, and this would include all the work and grunt work necessary to have a licensed system valid for 10 years on there. So that about wraps it up. So thank you very much for attending. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to go ahead and ask now. My contact information is on the screen here. You can reach me via email, or you can contact your Moonblink representative, and you can contact me through there. Okay, so we've got some questions here. Basically, the first question here was 50-mile links. Is that best practice? Basically, I find in our experience most links usually are around 10 to 20 miles. 50-mile links aren't as common, but they are doable completely. But they do require to expect that you're going to have about 200-foot towers at least to be able to deploy something like that. So yes, they are doable. There are lots of links out there that are going 50 miles, but it's on the high end as far as the distances. Typically, you may have to have someone do engineering services using a third-party software program, like using either Motorola's Broadband Planner or a generic copy of Radio Mobile, or software like that, Path Loss 4, MicroPath, that type of software to do that. So that's the concern. So hopefully that answers that question. Also, the $1,700. There was a question, does that include the cost of the license or just the coordination? That would include everything. So that would include the cost of the license, the coordination, all of the paperwork, and then you would then get a copy of all the paperwork that was done for your files, so that if Jack Bauer or Fox and Mulder showed up at your door and said, "Let's see that you're legal," that you would be able to produce that documentation. So yeah, it would include that. So here's a good question. Another question was, can you mix a 1+1 system like a Proxim and a Motorola? That's a good question. Technically, you could, because they both support couplers, but basically the carryover, the cutover from going from a 1+1, that type of feature is software built into each specific vendor's radio. So they built that code in to be able to talk to. So they're only familiar with their own radios. So it would be possible technically to intermix them, but you have to. These are proprietary systems, so you have to do the backups with the same vendor's radio. So if you're doing a Proxim, stick with Proxim and then Mono. But you can mix and match. You can deploy different vendor radios for your infrastructure in general, though. They all co-locate and work together nicely. Okay, so let's see. There's another. Okay, there's another question here. It says maybe Ethernet follows wireless. Maybe. Actually, I guess to that statement, they're kind of wireless sometimes follows Ethernet in that the speeds are kind of 10, 15 years ago, gigabit Ethernet was the king in the wired space, and now it seems to be the standard here in wireless, and now they're dealing with 10 gigabit. So I've heard that there are higher speeds that are going to be coming out, and then as far as Ethernet following wireless, well, they're actually following wireless in terms of security. I think that if you look at a wireless system and you put all of the security mechanisms in place, that they actually end up amounting to being more secure than a wired environment. So anyway, if anybody has any more questions, feel free to ask. But otherwise, if something else pops up later in the day or tomorrow or next week, I'm always available to answer them. So you can just contact your sales rep or contact me at my email address is joe@moonblink.com, and you can I'd be happy to answer them. So thanks very much, everyone, for attending, and have a great day.